Have you ever been in one of those brainstorming sessions that felt more like a brain drain session? Brainstorming sessions get such a bad rap, but at the end result of a great brainstorming session, we get creative ideas, team bonding, new energy, which is exactly what leaders want. But most leaders are really bad at running a brainstorming session because no one's ever taught them how to do it right. Well, in this video, I'm gonna show you the 6 techniques that I use to run brainstorming sessions for some of the largest companies in the world, such as Nike, Apple, Pfizer, and even the U.S. Navy. So let's get into it. Now, I've seen my fair share of brainstorming sessions over the years, the good, the bad, the unproductive. And while brainstorming is a common tool for teams all over the world, did you know that its effectiveness goes beyond just generating ideas?
Wait, what?
Researchers at the Northern Illinois University found that brainstorming sessions can significantly enhance team cohesion, which is vital for any successful project. To help you experience more of the benefits and less of the negatives, here are my 6 tips to running an effective brainstorming session. The first step is actually defining the goal. I know it sounds silly, but too many don't actually do this, and it's crucial to start with a clear understanding of what you're trying to achieve. This isn't just about setting a topic, it's about framing the problem or challenge in a way that directs the creative energy towards an actionable solution. So instead of starting a session by saying, "Today we are going to discuss our growth over the next 12 months," try instead saying, "Today our goal is to come up with 5 ways we can utilize video to increase traffic to our website over the next 12 months." See the difference? The energy of your team will be much more focused on a clearly defined goal. In fact, according to a study from the University of California, explicitly defining the problem increases the creativity of solution. Participants who spent time understanding and, again, framing the problem were able to generate more interesting and viable solutions compared to those who just jumped straight into the brainstorming session without any focus. So clearly define your session's goals. Whether it's generating ideas for a new product, finding solutions for a workplace challenge, or exploring new market strategies, a well-defined goal sets the stage for a productive brainstorming session. It also narrows down the focus and guides your team's creative efforts, ensuring that the session stays on track, which brings me then to the second tip. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you are the person who's in charge of leading that next brainstorming session with your team. As a leader, your state matters a lot to the overall energy of the group. State is how you are showing up based on your thoughts, your emotions, and your physiology, which is how your body's positioned and how it feels. So if you are slouched down in your chair and you are tired and frustrated and annoyed and you don't even like brainstorming sessions to begin with, don't expect your team to have any higher level of energy than you are giving to the group. At best, they'll match your energy, but will very rarely go above it. So you need to show up at the level you want them to participate. This kind of mirroring of emotional energy happens because we have these tiny little things inside our brain called mirror neurons. These mirror neurons match the nonverbal cues with the people around us.
Are you for real?
If you doubt this, next time you're in front of a group of people, start nodding your head like this and watch how many people in the group also nod their head.
What sorcery is this?
Those are the mirror neurons firing. And a thing called emotional contagion states that the person in the room with the strongest emotional energy, positive or negative, will influence the emotional state of the rest of the people in the room. So like I say, you as the leader should be the thermostat, setting the tone in the room. One more thing on setting the tone before I move on. As the leader, you have to be careful not to dominate the conversation or speak first or too often, because most of the time the group will follow suit with what you say, especially if you have strong convictions for it. So make sure you give space and time for your group to share their ideas before you start with your thoughts and your opinion. Okay, now that we've defined the brainstorming and set up the tone, it's time for tip number 3. Tip number 3 is a bit ironic, but when people think about brainstorming, people think anything goes, like it's a free-for-all. There's no limit, no boundaries. But tip number 3 is actually to create boundaries for your brainstorm. I know it sounds strange, but by creating boundaries, you will have a more productive and more focused session. Here are some examples of boundaries you might want to include within your brainstorm. How about you limit how much money can be spent? How about you limit the time frame for completion? Or limit the physical local boundaries to require that everything has to be done virtually. Or maybe you can limit the tools that can be used. If it's relating to writing, maybe you can limit the number of characters or words that can be used. Or you can create an artificial ending or beginning by saying it has to end with ... or it has to begin with ... Hopefully you get the idea of ways that you can set boundaries for your group. Which brings me to the 4th tip. Get physical. Get physical.
Please stop.
No, I don't mean the song, and no, I don't mean to let your team fight it out. This isn't about creating the next MMA battle, but it's about physical movement. Trying to be creative while sitting down is like cooking a gourmet meal only using the microwave. It's possible, but definitely not ideal. Get your team up and moving for the brainstorm. In fact, Stanford research found that walking boosts creative inspiration, increasing a person's creative output by an average of 60% compared to sitting. This was found to be true whether they're walking indoors or outdoors. The act of walking itself, not the physical environment, boosted the creativity. Participants produced twice as many creative responses when walking compared to sitting. Even more interestingly, the creative juices kept flowing even after they sat back down after a short walk. One idea is maybe you could set up a bunch of flip chart papers around the room and have the people move from section to section and answer a different question on each paper. Sure, they could do this while sitting down, but the creative juices won't be flowing. It'll be flowing much more if you get them up and moving. Another option is to use post-it notes and section off a table with different themes for each section of the table. Have participants write down ideas on the post-it note, stick them on the corresponding section of the table. This will get them again up and moving. The goal here is to do something other than just sit around and verbally talk with each other. Okay, now that you know to get your team physically moving, it's time to move on to tip number 5. To set up tip number 5, let me ask you a question. If we have 20 people in a room and I posed an idea to the whole group and asked for feedback, who do you think we would hear from the fastest and the most often? Introverts? Nope. Soft-spoken people? Nope. Deep thinkers? Nope. Processors? Nope. We'd hear from the extroverts. They would be the first ones to pop their hand up and share their thought. It's a known trait of extroverts to think out loud, whereas a known trait of introverts is to process the idea internally first and then share it with others. As a leader, you want to make sure you hear from everyone on your team. The more diverse those ideas and those inputs of ideas, the better. So how do you get introverts and ambiverts a chance to share and not just let extroverts dominate the conversation? The answer is solo, small, large. Here's how it works. After you give the group a prompt for a brainstorm, first have them write down some ideas by themselves alone on a piece of paper without any verbal communication between everyone in the group. Second, then you create small groups of 2 to 4 people and have them share their ideas with each other and maybe even come up with some new ideas in these small groups. Lastly, open it up to a large group for sharing. Here's the benefit of solo, small, large. Introverts have a chance to process and come up with the ideas. The small group conversation will help introverts and ambiverts to have a chance to practice sharing, which will make them more comfortable with sharing in the large group. Extroverts will have to take some time to think through their idea before they just blurt it out to the large group, which is going to create more clarity and it will avoid groupthink. That's when everyone goes along with the first person person who speaks, and there's very little diversity in the ideas being shared.
Yeah, I get it now.
In fact, the American Psychological Association found that groups affected by groupthink make poorer decisions at least 30% of the time compared to individuals or non-groupthink group. Oh, by the way, you as the leader of the group, you're the most likely to create groupthink because your thoughts and your ideas sway the group the most, leading to that danger of groupthink. So a simple solution is this. As the leader, like I said before, don't share first. Make sure you hear from everyone else on the team first, and then you share your ideas. Follow these steps in tip number 5, and you will be well on your way to avoiding groupthink and getting a diverse set of ideas from everyone in the group. Which brings me to our last and final tip, related connection. What? This is where the magic of brainstorming really happens. It's about connecting seemingly unrelated ideas to spark new innovation. I know it sounds a bit foo-foo and kumbaya, but this concept is rooted in the notion that creative breakthroughs often occur when different ideas collide together and come up with something new. In fact, a study published in the journal Management Science found that the most impactful innovations often result from bringing ideas from different areas and different domains. It's about looking beyond the obvious connections and finding novel ways to combine diverse concepts. So how do you apply this in your brainstorming session? Well, here are 2 options. I put a bunch of nature pictures on the table and asked everyone to take one nature picture. Then I asked each participant to come up with a way to integrate that nature picture into the topic of the brainstorm. I know it sounds odd, but it's amazing how sometimes the best ideas don't come straight from the front, but rather from the side door. Or here's another activity, is to have a series of breakthrough ideas from other companies or other industries, and then challenge each person in your group to pick one of those breakthrough ideas and integrate it into your line of work. Got milk? How could you incorporate that into your life? The goal is to create a melting pot of ideas where we create unlikely connections and groundbreaking solutions. Step out of the conventional thinking patterns and explore new territories, because this approach not only breeds innovation, but also adds an element of fun and surprise to the session. You'll be amazed at what your team comes up with. And so by guiding your team through this process, you're not just brainstorming anymore, you're sculpting a culture of innovation and open-minded. Whew! And there it is. That's a wrap on the 6 ways to make some spark in your next brainstorming session. So let me quickly recap. The first one, defining the goal, is about setting the stage where we want our ideas. The second is setting the tone, is all about the reminder that you as the conductor ensuring the energy in the room is just right. The third is about creating boundaries, which is about building a sandbox where creative minds can build castles from. The fourth is about getting physical. It's about stirring up the creativity with a little shimmy and a shake, but avoiding groupthink and letting extroverts hijack the meeting so that every voice is heard, not just the loudest. The fifth, unrelated connections, is about connecting old ideas to new ones to creating new magic. And remember, running an effective brainstorming session is like an orchestra. It's like a symphony of thought. Each tip is a note that contributes to the melody of a brand new idea. So next time you gather your team, think of yourself as a maestro, waving your baton to create a masterpiece of ideas. Who knows, your next session might just be the one where you come up with that genius idea for your team. If you like this session, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the alert button so that you get notification about all of our upcoming videos. My name's Tom. I'm here to help you to engage the people on your dance floor and to keep those creative brainstorming ideas going. I'll see you in the next video.